Hello everyone. I hope all of you are safe and healthy during this forceful lockdown period. So today I would like to invite your attention to a small session that is solar energy option. And this is not a new topic for you guys. This is an old topic itself. We have covered this in detail in your S1 semester. And I would like to have a small revision on this topic that is solar energy option. So let's start. Solar energy option means by which all options we can make use of the solar energy which is abundantly available in our nature. So currently we have two options, that is photovoltaic option and thermal approach. And in this session, I would like to handle the thermal approach. The thermal approach in the sense means the thermal energy which is there in the solar energy or solar radiation, how we can effectively collect, how we can effectively store it, and how effectively we can utilize it in our day-to-day life. So this all things is covered in this thermal approach. And first we have to collect the solar energy, right? So for collecting the solar energy, we have thermal collection devices. So that thermal collection devices, generally we can classify that into two types, that is concentrating type of collectors and non-concentrating type of collectors. Now, first we can see what is a non-concentrating type of collectors. As the name indicates, non-concentrating type of collectors in the sense means they won't use any concentrator to concentrate these solar energy to a particular surface or not. So the very common and very simple non-concentrating type of collector is a flat plate collector. The flat plate collector, as the name indicates, it's flat plate, which is there will be a flat plate which is coated with absorber material and usually coated in black in color. And the absorber material should so in this figure you can see this is the absorbing surface or flat plate which is got painted black in color, and we are sometimes we are also using some absorber material on the surface. The absorber material should be selected such a way that it should have a high value of absorptivity and low value of emissivity. And and there will be a number of tubes in the which is an integral part, either as an integral part or which is connected to this absorber material through which the working fluid is flowing. And that our intention is to heat the working fluid. It is either water or any other fluid or air, and our intention is to heat this working fluid. And these all setups having a cover of transparent covers. This transparent covers is there. There is layer of transparent cover is to reduce the re-radiation losses and the convection losses. And there is an insulation which is provided the back. Uh, there is insulation provided the backside of this absorber plate to reduce the losses due to conduction. So when the light falls on the absorber surface, it will get heat up as it coated in black in color. As we know that black color is a color which absorbs almost all part of the radiation and emits only very few radiations. And this absorbing surface will absorb the heat energy and it will get heat up. That heat is transferred to the fluid which is passing through this tube which is beneath the absorber surface. And that's how this is working. That is flat plate collector, and the advantage is that it is very simple in construction, simple in design, and there is no moving parts. So these are the advantages of this flat plate collectors, and usually it is mounted towards the north direction if it is in the southern hemisphere, and if it is in the northern hemisphere, it should be tilted to the south direction. The next type of tube collectors is called evacuated tube collectors. Evacuated tube collectors, as the name indicates, we are evacuating the space between the tube concentrating collectors. So this is the two set of tubes. This is inner tube and this one is the outer tube. So we are evacuating the space, the annular space between these two collectors so that we can reduce the losses by convection and radiation. And the outer surface of the inner tube, that is this portion, the outer surface of the inner tube is coated with the absorber material or selective coating material, that is a black coated inner glass tube. And when the sun rays falls on the surfaces, the surface gets heat up, and the water which is either water or any working fluid which is comes near contact to this one is get heat up. As the water is get heat up, density difference will of course, that is hot water is lighter and it moves up and correspondingly cold water from the tank will replace us in that position, and this process continues until the entire water in the tank is get heated up. And this is a figure of available means commercially available evacuated tube collectors. A number of this type of tubes is arranging will arrange side by side to get a useful outcome. This this is a practical installation of an evacuated tube collector. So next is solar air heater. Solar air heater is working similar to that of a flat plate collector. That is, we have a black surface coated absorber material here. Number two is absorber plate, and beneath that there is there's a tube through which the air is flows. So this is how it is working, and we have also already have a transparent cover also here. So this is how it is working. That is an absorber plate. This paraffin wax will act as an insulation that is reduces the heat loss due to conduction. So when the cold air from the inlet gets in the tube, it will get heated up with the help of this absorber material. And when the air is get heated up, it become lighter and will move up and will get the hot air at the outlet. Simultaneously, from the inlet, the cold air will replace that position, and the circle continues and will get a heated air. And next we can go to the concentrating collectors. Concentrating collectors, as the name indicates, it will use some concentrators or reflectors to concentrate the solar radiation to some point. In this case, we have two types of concentrated collectors. There is linear focus and point focus. As the name indicates, linear focus have some mirrors or reflectors in such a way that they will concentrate the light or reflect back the light and concentrate the solar radiation to the line of focus. Especially it is a parabolic trough shape. Whereas in the point focus, as we can see our dish antennas, it will work like as if solar radiation falls into the dish and it will reflect back and concentrate the solar radiation to a point, to a single point, especially the focal point. So that is a dish type and trough shape. And this is about the concentrating type of collectors. And again, we can classify the concentrating collectors in different categories like parabolic trough collector, Fresnel lens collector, compound parabolic concentrator, that is CPC, mirror strip reflector, flat plate collectors with adjustable mirrors. So this is the concentrating collector, that is parabolic trough type concentrating collector, in which we have a parabolic trough, and when the solar radiation falls in the trough, it reflects back the solar radiation to its focal line, where we have a tube in which the working fluid is flowing. So this is the inlet, and this fluid is flowing through this, and at the outlet we will get the hot working fluid or steam. And next is the parabolic concentrator. It will concentrate the light and it will reflect to a base part at which we will place our working fluid. Next type of Fresnel lens collector, like Fresnel lens is a lens in which one side is very plain, the other side is having obturations or rough surface, and so the irregularities in the other side is made in such a way that these all irregularities will concentrate the light to a single point, which is called its focal point. So this is how it is working, and this is the practical installation of Fresnel lens collector. Next is paraboloid concentrating collector, that is like point focusing type. So the sun rays falls on the paraboloid dish. It will concentrate the light to a point where the receiver is placed, and it is a main disadvantage or a requirement of this type of concentrating collectors. It requires tracking mechanism because it have to follow the path of sun. When the sun is in the one side in the morning, and it will be directly overhead when it is in the noon time, and in the evening it will be the other side. So based on the position of the sun, it has to be changed its direction to track the to trap the entire solar energy. So not entire, maximum possible solar energy. So it requires a tracking system, and this is a paraboloid concentrating collector which is practically installed, and we can compare the size of this system by comparing the size with this bushes which is there in this near this collector. And next is central receiver type system. Central receiver type system means there will be a number of mirrors which is called heliostat. Heliostat, heliostat. The heliostat is a number of single mirrors that reflects the light back to a single point, which is usually at the top of a tower, and the position and the direction and the orientation of this individual mirrors or heliostat is individually controlled at each time. So you can see in this figure, like this is the receiver assembly and this is the sun, and you can see the inclination of this primary reflector here, like one here and the last one here. So we move from this side to this side, the inclination is increases because that is individual mirror is its inclination and its orientation is individually controlled. And next is mirror strip reflector, like fixed mirror strip concentrator means it is the mirror strip is arranged in the concave shape and it's working. Next is energy storage. So after collecting this energy, it can be stored in different ways, and mostly we will go for energy storage in three ways. First is thermal storage, that is, can be stored by sensible heat or latent heat. Sensible heat in the sense means we can heat hot air or hot water, and by use of a collector, and then the hot water can be stored in an insulated chamber. And then whenever the hot water is required, we can take the hot water from the insulated chamber. If it is hot air, then we can store that hot air in a insulated chamber which contains a number of pebbles. So this hot air will heat this pebble and the energy will stored in that insulated chamber. That is insensible heat. Latent heat means we can store this energy as a like latent heat of fusion or latent heat of vaporization. Next is electrical energy, then mechanical forms. Mechanical forms in the sense, electrical energy we can store in the batteries or things. Mechanical energy we can store the energy as in compressed air, especially that will be mostly done in the beneath the surface, ground, underground storages. But that is requires high space and it requires most of the involvement in chemical energy. Another type of storage, collection cum storage device in case of solar energy is called a solar pond. Solar pond is a man-made artificial pond which is having around 2 to 3 meter deep only, and is a man-made artificial expanse of water of 2 to 3 meter deep, and it is having a three layers. In when we speak theoretically, practically we cannot distinguish between these three zones. So it is having an upper convective zone, non-convective zone is middle zone, and lower convective zone is the bottom zone. So when the pond is dug out, the bottom layer of the pond is coated with the it is lined with the absorber material, and then the water in the pond is having salt water, that is especially the salt of magnesium or sodium, and the salt concentration is increases as we move down. Especially in upper convective zone, it contains pure water, that is salt concentration is zero, that is uniform salt concentration, and salt concentration is very zero, nearly zero. And this is having only a 20 to 30, 10 to 20 centimeter deep in this upper convective zone. And the water in the upper convective zone is continuously flowing, that is this aromas is showing that it is a continuously recirculating flowing water 20 to 10 to 20 centimeter deep, and it is um, having nearly constant salt concentration, that is nearly zero. And next is the non-convective zone. It is having a wider wider zone, and the salt concentration is increases as the depth increases. And where the lower convective zone, we always want this zone also the water is continuously recirculating, and this zone in which the salt concentration is almost zero, and it is having high salt concentration, that is all high maximum salt concentration. So, and when the solar energy radiation falls in the bottom layers because of the coating material here, so the solar energy will capture there, and the water get heated up. So as the salt concentration in this layer is very high, so these three layers have three density. It have density difference, and due to the higher density, it always have a tendency to stay here itself. That is, we'll collect this solar energy, and we are storing the solar energy at the bottom layer of the pond itself. And whenever the energy is required, we can once Through one side, we can pump the salt water, cold salt water, and to the other side, we can take that hot salt water to run a cycle. Especially this is used to run the Rankine cycle. And next, we can go to the thermal applications. There are a lot of thermal applications of solar energy, and the most common and most promising is water heating. We all know about that one. And space heating, space cooling and refrigeration, power generation, distillation, drying, and cooking. You can see one by one. So water heating is usually we will use the water heating with the help of FPC, that is flat plate collectors, and natural circulation FPCs and forced circulation FPC. Natural circulation FPC means the water is circulating throughout the system under the force of gravity. No external aided for circulating the water. Where forced circulation system we are using a to circulate the water through the circuit. And this is a natural circulation system. And for time being, I beg your pardon because this figure is having a pump, but you have while drawing in your notebook, you just eliminate this pump from here. Just complete the circuit without this pump. Okay, don't go for this pump and this circuit later this pump. So how it is working is there is an FPC which is inclined to one direction, and when the sun rays falls on the FPC, it will get heated up, and the water in this FPC is get heated up. So as the water is heated up, due to this lighter density, it will move up and will get stored at the top of the tank. Simultaneously, the cold water from the bottom of the tank is get replaces into the FPC, and it will get heated up, and again it will move to the top of the tank. So in the same time, this is an insulated tank. We get hot water at the top, and bottom we'll get the cold water. So this circle continues until the entire water in this tank is get heated up. And when we need hot water, we can take the hot water from the top, and we can make up the amount of water by the cold water supply. And in some days, if the sunlight is not sufficient enough to heat the water to the required temperature, we can make use of an auxiliary heater. So this is a water heater which is there. And this is a forced circulation system in which we will use the working is same as that of the natural circulation system. But one more thing, in the natural circulation system you have to maintain is that the water is flowing under the gravity. So the insulated tank or the tank should be always at a higher elevation than that of the FPC. But in case of the forced circulation system, we don't want to keep the tank in the higher elevation. We can keep the tank in the any elevation that is convenient to our need. That we can use a pump to circulate the water throughout the system. The working is same that as that of the forced circulation system. And another type of industrial application systems, we can use a number of species than a single species. And in this system, how it is working is that the water which is heated with the help of a species is passing through a heat exchanger where it passes its heat or it exchanges the heat to another working fluid which is having a very low boiling point, and that steam is being consumed to working any cycle as Rankine cycle or something else. And then we can then that working fluid is circulating among the secondary unit, and our solar radiation and our FPC circuit is called the primary circuit. And next is the power generation. Power generation can be done in two ways. Means based on the temperature which can be obtained in the power generation, it is low temperature systems, medium temperature systems, and high temperature system. Low temperature system means less than 100 degrees Celsius. In this system, we can use the flat plate collectors. Medium temperature systems which having up to 400 degrees Celsius. In this type, we can use the concentrating collectors, especially the parabol or dish type. And parabolic trough shaft. And high temperature systems we can use the means it having a temperature of greater than 400 degrees Celsius. So low temperature system, as we already mentioned, we can use flat plate collector, solar pond, and solar chimney. So I mean this too is familiar to you guys, and solar chimney I'll discuss now. So the solar chimney is a small expanse of glass. It's a glass cover which is having a means it's very few meters from the ground. It is like a glass cover which is having a few meters height from the ground level. So what happens is that this, because since it is a glass cover, as it solar radiation comes inside this glass cover, the air in this glass cover, in this space, and also in this space will get heat up. So as the air will get heat up, it become lighter. We already discussed that, and it always, that air always want to escape out from this hot. Means since it is lighter, it always have a tendency to move up. So what happens is that when the air is get moved through the chimney which is provided here, and this chimney is having very high, very long, and when it is passing through this chimney, what happens that this air flow will rotate the turbine which is there the bottom of the chimney, and that turbine again works that will work a generator to generate the electricity. This is how it is working, and as the hot air moves up, the cold air from the surrounding again come back to the, because of that draft, it will again the air, hot cold air from the surroundings will occupy the space of the glass, and again it will get heat up, and again it will move up, and this process continues, and the turbine will rotate, and that will again rotate work a generator to generate electricity. So this is a practical installation of a solar chimney. This is in Israel. And medium temperature system that we already discussed that we use line focusing parabolic trough collectors and linear Fresnel lens collectors. And this is having up to 400 degrees Celsius. We can use this medium temperature systems. And in case of high temperature systems, we generally use the paraboloid dish type and this central receiver type power plant. In central receiver type power plant, there will be a number of heliostats which individually control, so that all throughout the day they will reflect the solar radiation and concentrate them to a point which is usually at the top of a tower. So the central receiver point. And this in this particular session, we have seen that there's a salt which is there in this tube at this receiver point. So when it is receives the hot water, it will get heat up. The salt is get heat up. That hot salt is then pumped back and will get stored in the hot salt tank. From there, whenever it requires, it again pumped back to a heat exchanger, where it exchanges the heat with the water, and water will become steam. That steam will go to a turbine to rotate the turbine, and then to working in generator to generate electricity, and then to distribute the electricity. And after that, the cold water is again supplied back to the cold water. Not water. Cold salt is pumped back to the cold salt tank. From there, it again pumped back to the tower. Again, it will heat, and then it continues the process. So this is how a central receiver type power plant is working. Next is solar still, or for solar distillation. In solar distillation, we have a small expanse of water, and this is a small expanse of water. Then the inside of this expanse is lined black in color, and there is having a transparent cover. When the solar light radiation falls into this glass cover, and due to this black coating in the surface, the water will get heat up, and it will start to boil. So as the salt won't boil up, so the water will become water vapor, and it will move up, and it will touches the roof, and it will condense. That condensate will get collected in the roof side, channels which is collected in the roof side, and we can get the pure water. From the salt water, we'll get the pure water collected in the roof side. And this is a solar dryer. The solar dryer means we have already air heaters. We already discussed the air heater. So with the help of the air heater, the air which is heated air, hot air is passing through the chamber, through a chamber. Inside we see material that is to be dried is placed. And next is solar cooker. Solar cooker, mainly we have the most important type of solar cooker in our syllabus point of view is the box type solar cooker. As the name indicates, we have a box, and inside the box we have a black coating, and we have the box is properly made with an insulated material, and it have a glass cover, and also it has having some reflectors. So how it is working is that there's a solar radiation falls on the plane mirrors, it will reflect back the light to the glass cover and into the box here, And inside this box, we already placed the food that was to be cooked in a vessel. And because of this heat energy, the food that is placed in that vessel is get cooked. This type of box type cooker is suitable for cooking, time consuming food products like for cooking rice and boiling water or something like that we can use. It cannot be used for some high temperature requirements like chapati, dosha, puris. We cannot cook using this type of box type cooker, and or the time consuming food products can be cooked in this method. And this should be placed on an open surface. Okay, so this is actually, and this is a glass cover, and this is a reflector. This is a box, and inside that we have a vessel to cook. And so a modification of this type of this is there in the market. This means Schaeffler type solar cooker. In this, we are using two reflectors so that we can cook inside a room. We can done cooking inside a room. That there will be a primary reflector which reflects the solar radiation to a secondary reflector, and that secondary reflector reflects back the light. It means the solar energy and concentrated to the vessel that is to be cooked. So that we can cook inside a room. We don't want to stand outside, or we are in an open surface. We can, and this type of cooker is again modified so that we have a primary reflector and then a secondary reflector, and this secondary reflector will uses the energy to heat the steam, to make steam, and that steam is make use of cooking food. And that type of mm, solar cooker is there. This is one of the largest solar cooker in the world is using the Tirupati temple. And this is another type of solar cooker, Schaeffler cooker, and this is also Schaeffler cooker. In the Schaeffler cooker, in the Tirupati temple, it is not directly cooking with the heat energy of the solar energy. Like the solar energy is used to make steam, and that steam is using for cooking food in the Tirupati temple. That's about this. That's about the solar cooking, means solar option, the thermal option of the solar energy. Thank you.